This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Jumrukovski, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to the I Love Success podcast. This is the podcast where I meet the coolest and most successful people on the planet and share their stories. I'm glad to be on this journey together with you. What started as an idea has now become the start of a movement. My mission is to help 10 million people in 10 years to achieve their dreams. I can't do it myself, and because of that, I'm so grateful to all my amazing guests and listeners from all over the world. Thank you. Get ready to get inspired because here we go. But before we get started, let's give it up to our new sponsor, Panos Emporio. Panos Emporio is Scandinavia's leading swimwear brand and has over 30 years of experience in swimwear. The company was founded in Sweden in 1986 by fashion designer Panos Papadopoulos. Panos Emporio is characterized by innovation and distinct design that breeds style, quality, and individuality. All Panos Emporio products combine simplicity and sophisticated clean lines with outstanding quality and fit. Panos Emporio offers bikinis, swimsuits, swim shorts, briefs, cover-ups, accessories, along with a fragrance collection inspired by Paradise Islands. The brand has a worldwide loyal customer base with dedicated followers ranging from Hollywood stars and top celebrity models to world-famous athletes and royal families. Go to panos.com to learn more. Right now, I'm sitting right across a giant. Sean Stephenson is the 3-foot giant that has inspired millions of people around the world through his YouTube videos, books, and speeches. His TED Talk, The Prison of Your Mind, might have been the most authentic speech I've ever heard. When Sean was born, the doctors told his parents that he would be dead within the first 24 hours of his life. 38 years later, he's still going strong and ridding the world of insecurities. I'm so excited to have a deep, raw, and honest conversation with this man. So let's get started. Welcome, Sean Stephenson.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on the program.
I'm so grateful. This was, you're in town and you took the opportunity to come here, and I am truly grateful. I had a hard time sleeping this night because I'm so excited. You've really been an inspiration. So I just want to ask you, Sean, who are you really as a person?
I'm someone who's trying to figure out my own mind. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate emotion. I'm somebody who's trying to navigate my own challenges and my own dreams. And because I'm learning who I am, along the way I'm learning a lot about the human experience. And then I share my findings with people such as yourself on amazing programs like this, and with audiences like I did this morning before I got here, and through the videos that I do through my social media. All I like to do, or all I believe I'm really doing, is sharing my findings of the navigating that I'm doing within my own self. And a lot of people think I'm confident every single day and that I'm always positive and always happy, and that's not true. I navigate challenges and moments where I question myself, and at the end of the day, I'm really wanting to know how to live life without being eaten alive by insecurity. You know, one of my mentors asked me once, "Sean, why were you born?" And my thought process took me to the realization that I'm really here to rid the world of insecurity, to help people live life not shackled down to that fear that they're not enough, that insufficient energy of like, man, I'm not tall enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough. And the truth is, you are enough. You don't need anything outside of you. You don't need a certain amount of money or a certain appearance. There's nothing you need to go get to feel like you're worthy of love and validation and approval and to have a good life.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and we're gonna use this hour to dig deep in this because I think a person like you, it seems like you've been thinking a lot in your life and you have developed a lot as a human being, which I love. So let's start with your early life. Can you just walk us through that? What happened when you were born? And
Sure. So, as you mentioned in the introduction, I was born with a rare bone disorder. That's why I'm 3 feet tall in a wheelchair. And it causes the condition causes the bones to be extremely fragile. So something as simple as sneezing as a child would break a rib. Putting on a pair of pants too quickly could break my legs. And, by the time I was 18, I'd fractured over 200 times. So I had a lot of days of pain, excruciating pain as a child. I had a lot of days alone because I was either at home or in a hospital recovering from the different injuries. And so I had a lot of time to think, and a lot of time growing up as a child, spending time socializing with adults. So I thought probably a little bit more ahead of my time because my peer group were people a lot older than me. And I was challenged because there was a lot of days of school that I missed. So I always felt like I was behind in academics. And so that maybe made me push harder to go further. There's no way, if you would have told me when I was a little boy that I would go on to become a doctor and get my doctorate, that I would have believed you, because I struggled just to get through school. But, with the fact that I was dealing with all that pain and challenges, I was stared at a lot as a child. People just didn't know what to make of my condition or why I looked that way. And so there were days that I definitely felt sorry for myself. But when I got older, say in my teen years, I started to come across personal growth and learning about success principles, things that you talk about on this program, and learned a lot about psychology and learned about how you could actually choose to define your reality any way you want. That just because you have a circumstance that most people may feel sorry for themselves, you don't have to. You could choose to see all the great gifts that you were given in your life. And then when you choose that mindset, your whole life begins to change. And from probably 17 years on, I fell in love with personal growth. I studied the masters, people like Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, and all the masters of speaking and personal growth were my early mentors. Reading their books, listening to their podcast, or not, they didn't podcast back then, they were cassette tapes.
Yeah, video.
And then I was blessed to actually get mentored by several of them in person for a few years and get to go to their events and get to know them personally. And
how did you do that? How did you get in
well,
contact
I
with them?
would pay to go to their seminars.
Yeah.
And then I became friends with them by talking to them on the breaks maybe. And it was just amazing to see these individuals teaching people that you can love yourself, that you can love your life. And befriending these individuals and learning from them changed the course of my life. And it's pretty amazing now because I've been at this for 23 years as a profession. And not a day goes by where I don't think about how blessed I really am to have people around the world know who I am. And it's not that it's about me, but to hear the message that you are enough and that you are powerful beyond what you can imagine, and that you don't need to feel like you're all alone here on this planet, and you need to hang in there during those dark days, and to know that that message has come through me into the world, and that people around the planet are hearing through technology such as this podcast. I just got back a few months ago. I was in Africa. I was in Kenya, and I was on a bus in a very busy street in Nairobi, and I'm in the back of this safari bus, and this guy comes up to the window. He starts banging on the window, and he says, "Are you Sean Stephenson? Are you Sean Stephenson?" Now I'm in this crowded safari bus in this crowded street in the middle of Nairobi, Kenya, on the other side of the planet, and somebody knows who I am. And that happened over and over and over while I was on this trip, and it really just showed how small this planet is now because of technology. Through viral videos and podcasts, you can get a message out no matter who you are or how small you might think you are on this planet. Your voice matters, and it can reach anywhere on this globe, so you need to get your message out there. So I love that you have committed to reaching 10 million people, and in one video, you could inspire that many.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So I love that. And not only he knew who you were, he knew what you stand for, right? Mm-hmm. And this love and affection that you give to people, it's incredible watching your videos. I watched the one that you didn't have a voice, and you get warm in your body. You have that sense, and I love it so much. I have an interesting question to you. How do you think your life would have looked if personal growth didn't exist and personal development?
I don't even want to think about it, but I will. I know I would have become a very possibly bitter person. I was a positive kid. Don't get me wrong. Before I knew what personal growth was, I had really incredible mentors as a child. Like my parents were very amazing people, and they told me that I could, that you need to believe in yourself and not to let the world bring you down. So I definitely had a positive attitude. So it's not to say I would have been completely stopped in my tracks without personal growth, but I would have played small. I would have lived out a life that maybe matched more of my container. I probably would have and there's nothing wrong with the life I would have chosen. I probably would have become something like a graphic designer and worked on a computer and just, made enough money to survive and, looked forward to the movies on the weekends, compared to the life that I have now, where I have 2 homes, I get to travel the world, I have an incredibly smart, beautiful wife, I have a huge network of friends, and I get to be on amazing programs such as this, sharing my message. There's no way I would have played large the way I did because of personal growth.
Yeah. So it kind of gave you courage?
Absolutely. Just also it gave me the vision to think bigger and to not let rejection and upset stop me, because you know this to be true. When you want to succeed, just that desire isn't enough. You actually have to roll your sleeves up and get to work at it every single day and face rejection every single day. People saying, there's so many podcasts out there, like, why is yours any different? Or there's a lot of speakers out there, why should we hire you? And it's easy to get beat down by the sheer number of people and the number of people that tell you no. And so for me, it helped me to push forward and to know that rejection and dealing with doubters and haters outside of me, that's a part of the experience. You can't succeed without going through those steps. So it certainly gave me probably more of the persistence to keep going on the days that I wanted to quit.
I love that. And for me, I'm from Sweden. So coming here is being in a new country, talking in a different language, trying to spread your message. I think I have come across a lot of, in my mind, hard times because I don't think I'm enough sometimes to succeed here.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give someone like me that I really want to give as much as I can and inspire, but sometimes I can feel that too, like it's too many people. Why should they listen to me? And what type of advice could you give someone like me?
Well, the best piece of advice that comes to mind right away is you need to be very careful who you're associating to and who you consider your friends. And I would rather have 3 really positive friends that believe in me, that encourage me, that pick me up when I fall down, than 100 people that are just kind of there for me. 100 people that are somewhat believing in me, but sometimes talking behind my back. So you need to have an empowering environment. You need to be surrounding yourself with people that see something in you on days that you don't see it yourself. Because when life gets you down and you feel upset and you want to quit, when you fall and you're surrounded by amazing people, they'll tell you, no, you cannot think this way. You're better than that. There's more here than you are giving yourself credit for. Get back up, and that are that loving, encouraging force on the days that you want to quit. So I would say, first of all, make sure you have an incredible group of peers, and secondarily, I would say you need to have incredible mentors. Yeah. You need people that have already achieved that which you want to do and have. So people that have the accomplishments that you're looking forward to having, that are willing to take you under their wing, that are willing to tell you, look, you're a wonderful guy, you have a great message, but you need to change this about your marketing, or you need to know this about your audience. You need to be talking about this specific thing in your books, in your podcast, whatever it may be. They're willing to give you the tough love. So you need incredible friends, you need incredible mentors. That would be the first two things. And the last thing is you need to have a set of rituals, what I call my when life works list. I travel with it. It's a graph, and on my graph I have, going down on one side, all the activities that I do that make my life work. Things like hydrating during the day, getting enough liquid, making sure I'm exercising, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm meditating and praying, that I'm reading good materials, that I'm working on connecting to my wife and our marriage, that I'm reaching out to my friends, and all these things are on the list. And then as the list goes over on the other axis, I look at all the days of the month. And then each day I mark off what I'm doing on my list. And what's amazing about this self-care list is the more things you check off doing in your day on your self-care rituals, the better your mood will be. So when you're feeling beat down, the best thing you could do is go to your self-care rituals, because you're in control of that. You're not in control of how many people like you. You're not in control of what the economy is going to do. You're not in control of the weather, other people's interpretation of you. You're not in control of practically everything. The only two things you're in control of is how you interpret what's happening, and then what are you doing about it. And so when you're having a tough day, what can you do about it? Well, I can go back to my self-care rituals, take care of myself. Because what I've learned is that the cure to insecurity is self-care. The better care we take, it's amazing. The more things on your list that you check off in a day, the better you're going to feel. When you feel good, you start taking bigger risks and you start pushing to get back up. But people always, they get into the trap of thinking that their mood is just some kind of magical force that shows up, that there's nothing they can do about it. But your attitude and your mood is very much based on what you're doing with your day-to-day rituals.
You're so right. I'm actually working on a book now with morning routines, because it's based on the people I meet on my podcast and what successful people do in the morning. Because what I have noticed, those routines change people's lives, right? Yeah. So could you share, what do you do in the morning? What's your morning routines?
So it varies depending on if I'm back at my home or if I'm on the road. But for the most part, it's journaling 3 pages a day when I wake up.
What do you write about?
Well, it's pretty much just dumping whatever's in my mind. Yeah. So it may be a story that came out of a dream that I just had. Or maybe it's rewriting my goals. Or maybe it's writing down some of my frustrations. Am I upset about something? Getting it out on paper. You know, the mind, it's like a cup. You need to dump it out. You need to empty it to let something new into it. So I try to dump whatever's in my mind out into 3 pages a day. I got this concept from an incredible book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. And it talks about what she calls morning pages, writing these 3 pages a day. No matter what it is, just sit down, write 3 pages a day. Because I believe that most people, that if they just wrote 3 pages a day, they wouldn't need their antidepressants. You know, some people need medication, but most of us, we just need to connect with ourselves. We need to be writing out what we're thinking. And you know, it's amazing. I journal 3 pages a day. And then at the end of last year, what I did is I read the last 5 years of my journals. Wow. And I learned a lot about myself. I found trends. I found that there are certain things that I had made huge progress on, and there's other things that I am no further along 5 years later that I need to make sure I focus on. And it's amazing to be able to study yourself. That's how we started this interview. I said, I'm a student of myself. I'm trying to figure out and navigate my own emotions, my own dreams, my own fears, and then share my findings with the world.
I love that. And I love that. So that's why I'm doing this. I want to learn from others and implement it in my own life and create a good life, and also share my findings, because knowledge, if we don't share it, it's waste.
It's empty. Yeah.
It's empty. So what else do you do in the morning?
So I journal. Some mornings I'll exercise. Some mornings, what I like to do is we have a beautiful home, and I have a motorized wheelchair as well as this manual, and I will drive to the most convenient coffee shop that I love. I'll pull out my journal. I'll listen on the way to the coffee shop. I'll listen to some personal growth program on the way, and then I'll get there. I'll write out my thoughts in those 3 pages. Then I'll plan out my day. What are the things that I'm going to work on? Sometimes I'll reach out and connect to one of my friends or my mentors if I need to just check in on some project that I'm working on and I want some confidence boost, that I want to reach out to somebody. I don't just stop working on my self-care in the morning. I try to keep it going the rest of the day, and it's things like just being out in nature when I'm on the walk, headed to and from the coffee shop, sometimes spending time in the park, just observing nature. It really also comes down to connecting to my purpose. Why am I on this planet? And visualizing people that are out there that need to hear my message. You asked the question earlier about, what do I do on the days that I think, why should somebody listen to my podcast? Yeah. Well, one of the things that I would recommend you do is you think about how there's some people on this planet that need to hear it from your perspective. Yeah. That maybe my perspective isn't going to open them up. Maybe Wayne Dyer or Tony Robbins or Dr. Phil or the other people on the planet that have their own perspectives, maybe we couldn't reach that person today, but you could. Maybe the way you speak about it and your life circumstances and your opinions reach out and unlock somebody in a way that I couldn't. So that's why you need to get back out there, because there's some people only capable of hearing it from you.
I love that. When do you wake up in the morning?
It varies. I go through seasons.
Yeah.
Some seasons I'm hardcore and I'm at 5 a.m. and I'm an early to rise, and then some seasons I'm at 8 o'clock in the morning. It depends on what's going on in my life. I'm not a marathon runner from the standpoint of, metaphorically speaking. I'm not somebody that does a little bit here and there. I'm a sprinter. And so I usually am all on or I'm all off. I'm black or white. So there's times where I'm gung-ho and I'm up at 5 in the morning for a few months, and then there's times where I'm a little more lazy and I get up a little bit later and I'm more focused on getting better quality, longer sleep. So it varies. There is no set version of Sean Stephenson. If you come back and ask me this question a year from now, I'm going to have a different answer for you, because I'm evolving.
I love that. And you gave me one tips about getting a mentor, and I think a lot of people need mentors. So what tips could you give to me and the people that wants mentors? How do you get a mentor?
Sure. Well, it depends on how close you want to be connected to them. So the first way you can get a mentor is to go to the library and have a distant mentor, right? You check out books, or you go on to YouTube or audible.com or any source that has a stream of great information. And look, there's some people that have already passed away. One of my mentors was Wayne Dyer, but he's already died, right? He's gone. He's off this planet, but he still reaches me through his books, through his audios. So first of all, you got to see that it's okay to have distant mentors, right? That's the first. Then the next best way to get a mentor is to go to places where people who are already succeeding, that have what you want, are going to be. So going to seminars and conferences, finding out where are they presenting and getting to hear from them live and seeing they're interacting with a crowd. And then you can take it one step further, which is figure out, do they have a mastermind? Could you join a coaching program of theirs? Could you hire them for 1 hour maybe? Maybe you couldn't hire them for a whole year, but what will be their 1 hour rate if they have it? And learning from them in that regard. Mentorship doesn't always mean that it's free. I have some mentors that I pay upwards of $30,000 a year, and sometimes more even, to sit down with me and work with me or include me into their network. And some mentors I've gained over the years because I figured out what was important to them, and I helped them get more of what they already want, what they already have. One of my mentors said, if you help people get more of what they want, they'll pay attention to you. You just need to figure out what is it that they authentically want. People make the mistake of giving me what they want, but if I don't know you and you're giving me what you want, I'm going to feel completely disconnected. Yeah. If you find out what's important to me. So one of my mentors taught me, if you meet somebody and you want them to mentor you, find out what their charity is and give a large donation to that charity, or the largest that you can afford to do. If you know that their children are a huge fan of such and such musical group, get them concert tickets for their kids. If you know that their wife is a big fan of some television show and you can get them backstage to meet that person, whatever it is that is important to that person, and you bring that into their life, they're going to say, well, who are you? Wow, this is amazing, thank you. Now you do need to know that sometimes mentors are so busy that you're not going to get their attention right away, or maybe ever, and you need to be okay with going out and attempting to get lots of mentors, because some may never give you the attention you're looking for. I have certain people that I have done a lot of good for that have never paid attention to me, and that's okay. I did it to do it, right? I did it because I knew it would bring value to them. And there's other people that I've given value that were so appreciative, that brought me into their life, took me under their wing, and taught me a ton. And you don't know who's going to connect with you and who's not. And this is why you have to be reaching out to several potential mentors and be okay with certain ones are going to connect with you and some aren't. And that's all right.
I love that. There's no guarantees in life.
Not
You still
at all.
got to do it, right? So one thing that I want to ask you is, you talked about this a lot in some of your speeches, and that is pity. People have pitied you, and how have that felt, and how did you change that mindset? Because I think a lot of times, sometimes we feel pitied, right?
Yeah. I mean, pity is the greatest drug on the planet. And when you pity somebody, when you feel sorry for somebody, you're actually holding them back. You're holding them down. And I've never met somebody that would consciously agree that they want you to feel sorry for them. They might unconsciously, but not consciously choose that. And when somebody feels sorry for you, you have to let them know that they're wasting their time. Like, that's not what you want. That you want them to raise the bar for you and to see greatness in you. And sometimes you just have to create a life that is so spectacular that the last thing in their mind is pity for you. But self-pity is the worst drug. When you feel sorry for yourself, and it's very easy to do. It's very easy to feel like, I've been working at this business for so long, it's not taking off yet. Or why aren't I getting more downloads on my podcast? Or why isn't my message spreading more globally like I thought it would by now? When I interview people myself, I find that most successful individuals, most people even trying to accomplish a lot, they don't feel like they're as far along as they would like to be. Yeah. You ask them, you say, are you where you would like to be? And they say, no, there's so much more I want to achieve. I heard an interview once with Kobe Bryant from, the LA Lakers when he was playing. And they said, Kobe, do you think your fans are really hard on you for like how much they expect out of you? And he said, absolutely not. I am way harder on myself than anybody could ever be. He said, I should, in my mind, have had a championship ring every year I was in the league. And he only, I believe, got 5. And he said, But to me, my bar is so high that no one could hold me to those standards. And I feel the same way about myself. I'm a professional speaker by trade. I've been a speaker for 23 years. And after a speech, I have such high expectations for myself that somebody could say like, oh, that was fabulous. You were amazing. And I'm very gracious for that compliment. But on the inside, I know there was more I could have done. I know I could have been funnier. I know I could have been more emotional and connected with more emotion, because my bar is so high, and that's what drives me. And I think it's okay. It's the opposite of pity, right? Where you have such high expectations that you are pushing yourself to reach more and do a better job at connecting with people. And that's what drives me.
Yeah, I remember I'm a world medalist in karate, and
okay.
I competed for the national team for more than 10 years in Sweden. But my first competition, when I was 15, it was in Stockholm, and I won. But I was so hard on myself, so it didn't feel good, because I didn't feel that I performed. So when I came home to my small town, my mom and dad were there with flowers, and I didn't want them. So I think being hard on yourself, it gets you a long way, but it also causes pain, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a slippery slope there between being a perfectionist that goes on to get better and better and better, and also being so harsh and critical. So what I like to do is I like to limit the amount of time that I'm hard on myself. After I get off the stage, maybe I'll only analyze it for the first 15 minutes, and I'll look at what could I have done better. How could I have made more of an impact? What am I going to do What am I going to do the next time I'm up on stage and have the opportunity to present again? And I will be a little harsh on myself for a little bit, but then after that 5, 10, 15 minute time period, I'll have to let it go. I'll have to move on and look at all the good that I did do and hear the compliments, because it's amazing. You said it. You could win but still lose. You could win but still feel like you didn't win on the level that you could. But that's what makes us sharp. Maybe that little bit of insecurity of feeling like, there was more in me, is what drives us. Because if you were like, man, that was my best, then would you ever really push yourself? I think it was, who was it? There was a musician once that I heard, and he said, you're only as good as your last show.
Yeah.
And I really agree. James Brown said it. You're only as good as your last show. And there's some truth to that, because as a consummate professional, you're always pushing, what are you capable of?
Yeah. Never believe a prediction that doesn't empower you. You said that. I love that. Can you just explain?
Sure. Well, you're given a lot of labels in your life. And people will tell you, you're not going to achieve this. You're not going to make it. You're not going to survive physically. You're going to be told a lot of things throughout the course of your life. And I found that if you want to succeed, you want to survive even, you can only believe the predictions that empower you. If they limit you, you can't put your focus on that. I know when that talk came out, that Tedtalk is what you're referring to. I remember reading the comments, and somebody said, oh, well, he's putting out bad advice, because what if you really are given the prognosis of death and you have wishful thinking? Well, my mentality is, if you're given the prognosis of death,
you got that.
You have the only chance of survival by blocking that out and going after something else. So maybe they are right, and maybe you only get to live 6 months, right? Do you want to live like that, the 6 months or the last months of your life, and how awful or how horrible? Or do you want to go after it, saying, you know what, I'm gonna keep living and pushing to focus on what can I do and see how long I do get to be here, and believing a prediction within yourself that matters. They say that when people are given the prognosis of death, when they have a reason to survive, when they have a vision that's pulling them into their future, they will live far longer than somebody that doesn't have that vision. If you want to see your grandchildren walk down the aisle at their weddings, if you want to see the company, get to $10 million, if you want to, have any vision pulling you into your future, you have a much better chance of survival and success You cannot listen to the predictions that limit you, because then you'll give all your energetic attention, and then you'll feel small, and then you'll start to be scared, and then you'll feel like the world is closing in on you, and you'll begin to quit and just pack it up, and life will seem so dark.
Yeah. It's incredible how we can treat ourselves bad a lot of times, and that makes us stop, right? But one thing that I want to talk to you is game and attracting the opposite sex, because I think that's a problem that I had when I was younger, and I really wanted girls, right? And I had a problem with that, and I realized it was mostly my own confidence and nervousness of talking to the opposite sex. But when I learned that, and that feeling of being loved, it's incredible, right?
Absolutely. Well, men fall into the trap, and women do as well, but men fall into the trap of thinking that, right, that like somebody's going to like you only because of the exterior, right? By how much money you have, or what kind of car you drive, or in like stereotypical case with women is like, what does your body look like? And men worry about that as well. But at the end of the day, how attractive you are to somebody that you want to attract is based on energy. And your energy is through your personality, through the vibrations that you give off. And if you are an angry, negative, closed-off human being, it doesn't matter what your exterior body looks like or what trappings of success, you're going to repel people. And if you don't repel people, you're going to attract the wrong people, people that just want you for the external stuff. So I look at it this way. You really, of course, want to take good care of yourself. Keep your body, in the best health that you can. But at the end of the day, it's what's on the inside. And I know that sounds cliche, but do you like yourself? Do you find yourself attractive? Do you find yourself valuable? Because that permeates out into your dialogue, into your attitude. And man, I've met people that are absolutely stunning that didn't like who they were on the inside. And after a few moments, I didn't see their beauty anymore. And then I've met people that maybe weren't the most sexy people on the planet, but their energy was vibrant, and they had a great smile, and they had a great personality, and they were just energetically attractive. And I found them more and more attractive, physically even. So yes, we have so much control over the energy we put out, and then that attracts in what we want.
Yeah. Were there times when you were thinking that you're gonna end up alone?
Absolutely, most of my life. It wasn't until I was in my 20s, in my mid to late 20s, that I really determined that I'm going to take control of my life romantically. I'm not going to allow my disability or my own image and container stop me from having love. And I went on a complete tear of reading everything I could. I read over 100 books about sexuality, about what attracts people to each other. I studied things like pheromones and conversation and psychology and all these different things. And you know what I found is, in my case, I wanted to attract a woman, and so I found that women were attracted to confidence and a good sense of humor. And those were under my control. And by working on my confidence and my sense of humor, I became more and more attractive, and therefore having more and more dates. And then I eventually met an incredible woman that I went on to marry, and we've built an amazing marriage together and a great business. And it's all come down to making her laugh every single day and boosting her up when she needs some confidence, although she's way more confident than I am.
I love that. It's crazy how the hardest part, we all want to be loved, right? And we all struggle with that. How did you move forward? Did you crash and burn sometime? How did you move forward? Let's say you open up to someone, and
Sure.
How did you move forward from that?
Well, I crashed and burned a lot. I had way more go wrong in my relationships before I met my wife than went right. But what I remember my father saying, he said, you only have to do this right once. You only have to get the one right person to be in love with you and to experience you in a way that they wouldn't want you any different than the way you are. And so that was very encouraging to me. It's, when you're getting a message out or building a business, you have to constantly get it right. You have to constantly be marketing yourself and getting out there. But when you finally attract the right person, if you pair bond and you actually create a relationship, you only needed to do it and have it work once. Yeah. So that was very encouraging to me. But yeah, there were many times where I crashed and burned, where I attracted the wrong person. I attracted somebody that was more a reflection at where I was at that time in my life. What caused me to finally meet the woman of my dreams was working on myself and becoming a version of myself that I was attracted to, and being okay with being alone. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And when you're lonely, you make your singleness feel like it's a burden, and you see it as some kind of plight that you have to deal with, and that you're some kind of loser. But when you're just alone and happy with yourself, then you don't put out that needy energy that is very stifling to a relationship.
You're so right. I remember the first book I read on seduction was The Game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you read it, but sure. But it was interesting because some of the technique worked. But the problem was, once you got to talk to a girl and go on a date, if you didn't develop yourself, you had nothing to offer. So what I realized is it's about me. Everything you say, how can I develop as a human being? And when you do that, everything falls to place, right?
Well, it's the same whether it's attracting love, attracting money, attracting more visibility to your message. Are you comfortable with yourself? And what can you do? This is why I journal every day, because I'm learning to become comfortable with who I am. I'm willing to do things that are a little bit unconventional. I will sit and talk with myself in the mirror sometimes in the morning, and I will be encouraging and I will be loving. Most people aren't willing to do that. They feel so uncomfortable talking to themselves, loving to themselves. Most people, the concept of loving yourself is so foreign to them. They have no examples of that in their childhood with their parents, and it's mocked in the media. It's seen as cheesy to be encouraging to yourself. But it's the only way I know how to survive and succeed and enjoy the person reflecting back in that mirror. If you don't like who you are, this life is going to be really long and painful. This is why you gotta become friends with yourself. You have to be encouraging to yourself. You have to say the right things to yourself when you're speaking all alone. I am very hard on myself as a professional. I want the best from myself, but I have to have those people that I mentioned earlier around me, my friends, people like my wife that say, "Hey, Sean, how are you speaking to yourself? Yeah. Are you a student of your own teaching? Are you using what you tell people to do?" And it's good to hear that from the people that love me and say, "Okay, all right, maybe I'm a little hard on myself today. I'll relax a little bit here."
Yeah, I love that. And it is hard sometimes to do what you preach, right?
Oh, definitely.
Because it's life. I'm curious about your dad and what role he has played in your life, because what I understood when you became a teenager, he quit his job to be around you. Mm-hmm. Can you just talk us through that and what affection he has given you in your life?
Yeah, so my father has taught me a lot. He was a stay-at-home dad when I was in junior high on. He taught me so much about you need to be there and be strong for the people around you. My dad has been a phenomenal man that has taught me about being honest and, doing the right thing, having integrity and following through when you tell somebody you're going to do something. And it's been a phenomenal experience, until just recently he would travel with me. Now he's 70 years old, he's a grandfather, and he's taking care of his grandkids with my mom. And but man, we saw the world together. He traveled with me, working. He took me to work at the White House. He went to college with me. An incredible man, and I'm so blessed that he has been my father.
I love that. And that has been kind of crucial for your life, right?
Absolutely.
It's important. Families. I had a boxer here a couple of weeks ago. He said 100% for my work, 1000% for my family.
I love it.
I love that quote. Let's talk about bullying yourself. A lot of people do bully themselves and talk negative. How do we, those people that are listening now that are bullying themselves, what can we do to help them?
Well, first of all, listen to the internal dialogue you're having. And would you talk to your friends that way? You know, most people, if they talk to their friends the way they talk to themselves, they wouldn't have any friends. Yeah. They would all leave each other because they would say, why are you being so hard on me? Why are you being so mean? I can't believe you said that about my appearance, about who you think I am. But we have no problem speaking so harshly to ourselves. So first of all, we have to just observe what's the internal dialogue like on the inside. When we're really harsh on ourselves, I look at it this way. You need to shift 3 things if you want to stop bullying yourself. 1, stop focusing on what you don't like about yourself. And start focusing on what do you like about yourself. What is amazing? What is great? And if that's a hard list to come up with, that should tell you a lot. That should tell you need to be focused more on that. Then you should be focused on gratitude. Like, what's great about your life? What do you have access to? If you're listening to this program right now, you have enough access to technology. That's a huge advantage compared to most people on this planet. Most people on this planet don't even have an elementary education or the ability to read. It's amazing that the technology that you have access to right here and right now. Take advantage of that. So stop focusing on what you don't like about yourself. Stop focusing on what you don't have. Start looking at what you do have. And stop worrying. Stop worrying about all these big fears about, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to look bad. I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be alone. Stop focusing on what you don't want. Start focusing on what you do want. This is why I rewrite my goals. Almost every day I rewrite my goals, the things that I'm working on. What do I want? And when you start shifting your internal dialogue, shifting your internal focus, and also shifting your physiology. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, they talk about how you really do get severely influenced by your physiology. You are incredibly influenced. That if you really talk soft and you roll your shoulders forward and you don't make any eye contact, you basically are conditioning yourself to be shy and alone, as opposed to rolling your shoulders back, keeping your chin up, talking with a voice of confidence, looking people in the eyes, and putting out the energy through your body and your posture that you deserve to be listened to and that you deserve respect. And when you shift your focus, when you shift your internal dialogue, and when you shift your physiology, it helps you to break that bullying cycle from within.
But how do you break out? Because I know there's a lot of people that want to break out, live their dreams, and they're in a job or in a situation where they're not appreciated for who they are. What's the first step? Because people have bills to pay or responsibilities. How do you do that?
Sure. Well, don't quit your day job too quickly, because sometimes it's nice to have food on the table. So I like what one of my buddies, Gary Vaynerchuk, calls having a side hustle. That thing on the side that when you come home from work, you roll up your sleeves and you get to work on that passion piece that you do care about, and figure out how do you become an expert at marketing. The biggest challenge that I see is the people that have these great ideas, these aspirations of, I want to get this business started, or I want to become a speaker, or I want to be an author. They think that that's what matters. And that's important to have that vision and that passion, but you got to see yourself as a marketer first. Why does somebody care to spend money on that? Figure out how can you motivate them for their reasons, not yours. So when you figure out how to become a marketer first, and then whatever it is that you would like to be doing second, That's a huge thing. You have to study and fall in love with sales and marketing. Because if you aren't understanding how to get a message out there, and you don't know how to tell stories in a way that pull people into your products or services, they're so distracted with all the other noise out in the world, they're not going to pay attention to you. And you can't hate the concept of selling. You have to love it. Because if you feel bad asking for money for what you think is of value, no one's going to buy from you. You can't sell something that you're afraid to buy. You need to first feel it's so valuable that you feel that that money is well worth the exchange. And when you have that level of confidence of saying, this is worth the price, this is worth more than the price because I'm bringing so much value to the table here. So you got to fall in love with sales and marketing. That would be the first thing I would do. And the second thing is study people that have gone before you. There's somebody, no matter what industry you want to be in, that's already doing well at it. How did they do it? Read their autobiography. Listen to their podcast. Go to their seminars. Save up your money from your day job to go learn from them and get coached by them. You know, my mentors have told me, Sean, you got to pay if you want to pay attention. And I spend a lot of money, and I have over the years. You know, when I started my career, I was a young teenager. And I went to a branding expert, and I said, I need your help. Help me differentiate myself from others. And they said, okay, it's going to be $5,000. This was years ago, and $5,000 was a lot of money to me. They said, it's going to be $5,000. And I said, but I'm a kid. I don't have $5,000. And they said, well, then you're not going to make it. You have to be willing to put in the investment. And so I figured out how to get the money, paid to have the branding experts meet with me, and shifted my business so that I could be better positioned. And I have continued to spend money every year on marketing, on sales, on the education of how do I get to the consumer, what's the technology out there, how can I reach them in a way that they pay attention to me. And if you're scared to save up your money to spend on an investment of yourself, you're never going to make it. You have to be okay with putting in the time and the energy in advance and know that it's going to take time. I tell my students that want to become speakers, I say, listen, are you willing to put years of your life into this? And if they're like, no, I want to make it in the first couple months, I say, then you're not gonna make it. No. It's not gonna happen overnight. You know, people will see me on, booked on a major program, right? A media outlet such as yours. Or they'll see me on a book tour, or they'll see one of my videos going viral. And they're catching me 23 years into this career going, oh, I would love to have that level of attention. But they didn't see me when I was speaking in a tiny little community college in a strip mall in the South. And there was 5 people, and they weren't even listening to me. And I didn't get paid but maybe $75. Right? They didn't see that. They just see who I am now. But they didn't see the years of people telling me no. You know, the book that I have, it's in 12 different languages now. And that book, for 3 years, got turned down over and over and over by literary agents, by publishers. There were so many people that said, oh, we don't think that people are going to relate to a little man in a wheelchair. My television show that I had, I flew back and forth between New York and LA. And just being here now makes me remember all those meetings with executives that said, oh, we don't think that this is going to reach our demographic. I didn't care. I kept pushing forward because I saw the vision. I knew how people reacted to me. I just needed the opportunity to show them that. And then finally, when we sold the deal, it was amazing because finally others were seeing what I saw long before they could.
And that takes confidence.
It certainly takes a level of confidence, but maybe a little hard-headedness. Yeah. Maybe a little more persistence. Yeah. It just takes enough, thick enough skin. Yeah. You know, you don't even need to sometimes believe fully in yourself. Sometimes you just need to just get back up and go out there, even on the days that you question your own value. It's about marching forward.
showing up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's John Wooden, right? 80% of success is showing up.
Showing up, yep.
And I think like the things that I have done in my life, I've never been talented as an athlete or as an author, but I show up. And here I am. This is podcast 59, I think.
I love
because
it.
I show up. And that's why I have the honor of having great people like you here and talking. And it makes me, like, when I think about this, it was just an idea, and now I'm sitting here with you sharing, and how I'm not gonna stop. I'm in this for life. No matter what, I'm gonna find a way. And that's why I'm so grateful to see that other people acknowledge that when I get attention for someone like you. That means a lot to me. So thank you.
You're welcome. I have an incredible set of friends, and one of my friends is he has a lot of titles that he has, but one of them is he's an incredible musician and songwriter. And I remember, probably 15 years ago, he didn't even have money to go to lunch with us because he was struggling. He worked as in admissions at a university, and he was frustrated and he was down on his luck. And I said, "Are you doing this just for fame and fortune?" And he said, "No. Why?" I go, "Well, you're acting like that because you're so upset that you're not as far along as you wish you should be or wish you could be. But if you're not in it for the fame and fortune, if you actually do like writing music and performing, you're already doing that. Can't you enjoy that right now?" Now, fast forward 15 years later, we were reminiscing about that conversation when him and I were doing a gig together, and there was 15,000 people in our audience. And we had both gotten paid a lot of money to be in that room to present to these people. And he was singing and I was speaking, and we were laughing about how, remember that conversation where I said, "Are you doing this for the fame and the fortune?" And you have to let go of the attachment to, "I want this to prove to my family," or "I want this to prove to other people." You can't do this from your ego. If you do, you'll burn out. You have to do it from your heart. You have to do it because you actually know that people on the other end of this microphone, or the people that are the recipient of your products or services, that their lives are going to be fundamentally improved because of what you're bringing into the world. And that's why you're doing this. And also, for the love of the game, for the love of the experience. It's the process, not the destination. And when you actually love being interviewed, when you actually love being on the road, meeting the people, it doesn't matter who I'm with. I always go that little extra mile to say, like, "How is your day?" Maybe my Uber driver, and I'll say, like, "Tell me, what's the greatest thing that happened to you today?" And getting to know the people around me. It doesn't matter if I'm working with the President of the United States or the custodian at the school that I'm speaking to that day. They're all so valuable, and they all have dreams, and they all care about their own little community and their own life. And if you can just show them the respect that they deserve, and you give them the love that they need to have to make it through their challenging, tough times, and just bring that level of love into their life, that's what makes it easier. That's what gives you the courage to get back out there on the days that you question, "What the heck am I doing?"
I love that. I know you guys are catching a plane in just a little bit, so I just have 3 more questions, and then I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
So the first one is, in your TED Talk, The Prison of Your Mind, you spoke about moving it down from the head to the heart.
Yes.
Can you just share that your wife taught you that to have more heart, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my wife, Mindy, she is an incredible woman that has studied heart intelligence. She has a background in education in neurocardiology and studying how the heart actually is a thinking mechanism. People think of it as some kind of gushy organ that just pumps blood that we refer to in Hallmark cards and on Valentine's Day. But no, this is the soul. This is the seat of the soul. This is where our intuition resides. When they say you need to trust your heart, what they're saying is listen to your intuition. You know, when most people pray, what do? They bow their heads because their head is looking toward the heart. What should I do? Where should I go? And that heart doesn't yell at you like the mind does. The mind is filled with fears and insecurities, but the heart is quiet and it whispers and it says, keep going. Or it says, you know what, let this thing go, move on to this thing. You're not playing big enough. Try this out. Talk to that person. And it whispers to us and it will not nag us. You know you have a fear if it's nagging you, if it's constantly pestering you in a negative way. Your intuition is very quiet and it won't shout. It won't nag you. It will just gently say something and then sit back and see what you do. So I've learned so much from her about trusting your intuition, listening to that heart. And I've never regretted a single decision that I made from my heart.
Incredible. I think you're so right. We need to listen a little bit more to the heart.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I ask all my guests is something that is almost like a little game. Let's imagine you're 87 years old.
Sure.
And you're sitting maybe in a beach house somewhere or enjoying life and thinking back on your life. What do you want to have accomplished at that point?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I will have felt a great accomplishment if I'm really proud of who I became. Because you can't control the external success all the time. But you do get to control your own evolution, in your soul's evolution, the connection that you have with yourself. And I feel like I will be really proud of who I am if I'm looking back on my life and say, man, I really became the person that I admired. That's the one thing. And then secondarily is, did I go after doing the things that scared me? You know, it's easy to go after the things that are fun, that you know that you can do, but what about the things that you're scared of, the rejection and the fear? What if this doesn't work? You know, I have a lot of big dreams that still to this day, sometimes I get scared about, well, what if this falls through? Or what if people think it was ridiculous and don't like it? But if I had gone after and achieved those things and worked on them, no matter how they were received by others, did I actually pursue them? See, I think success is not about the achievement, it's about the pursuit. If you go after what you want, it doesn't matter what other people think or what even happens. You should be proud of the pursuit, because that's the only thing you have 100% control over.
Yeah. And the last question that I want to ask is, we're all about sharing stories, but at the end of the day, what I want to do, I want the listeners and the people that are watching this to go out and create the life that they're loving, right?
Yeah.
So what would be the first thing that they can do right now after watching this to get started, some small way?
Go buy a journal and start writing down every single morning what's in your head. Counsel yourself. I believe that a lot of anxiety could be dealt with by just writing down your thoughts. Get them out of your head. Get them on the paper. And then if you need to, go tear off that sheet and shred it that morning if it's negative. If it's positive, keep it in that journal. It's okay. And sometimes it's good to even keep the negative stuff, because then you can go look back 5 years later and see how far you've come. So it really depends on how you want to view your life. But for me, I like to be introspective, and my recommendation is get writing. Write out what are you thinking. Write out your goals. People, they've proven this time and time again, that those that are willing to write out their goals are far more likely to achieve their goals than those that just speak them. You have to see them in print, share them with people, talk about it. Sometimes just talking about a goal that you've written down and reviewing it can actually start making it happen. I remember I put on a vision board years ago, a picture of the Dalai Lama, and I said in my journal, I want to meet the Dalai Lama. And then I told other people, I was talking to them about, one of my goals is to meet the Dalai Lama. And one day I was sharing it with somebody and they said, oh, well, I'm running a conference where he's going to be speaking at it, and then somebody else in that room said, Sean's an incredible speaker, he should speak at your conference, and next thing you know, I'm on stage with the Dalai Lama. And that would have never happened had I not set that in stone in my journal and then began talking about it and then put it out into the world. You don't know. I mean, I'm here right now because Per, one of your previous guests, connected us through Facebook, and you said, I only interview my guests in person. This is not something I want to do over the internet. And I'm like, oh man, where is this guy even located? And how are we going to even do that? And then you said, I'm in Santa Monica. And I looked at my calendar and I went, no way, I'm going to be in Santa Monica in a few short days. And so it just perfectly aligns. But you have to be patient. Be patient with yourself. Fall in love with the process. Know that you're not going to have everything happen overnight. But if you love the process, then it really doesn't matter when it happens because you're having a good time now.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sean, for coming here. It means the world to me and to the people listening and watching. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for what you're doing here on this planet. And, for the listener on the other end of this microphone right now, I want you to know that even though you may not hear this enough, I love you. I care about you. You have an incredible gift inside of your heart, and you need to be sharing your message. You need to be sharing your dreams and get out there in the world and have a good time with your life.
And thank you guys for listening in. And again, a big thanks to our sponsor, Panos Emporio, Scandinavia's leading swimwear brand.
I love their bikinis.
They're beautiful, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Check them out at panos.com. And if you have any questions and comments, please email me at info@ilsuccess.com and check us out at ilsuccess.com. And if you like this, share it with your friends and family because we want to impact millions and millions of people and we can't do it alone. So thanks again and have a wonderful day.